I was under the impression that he had the gun, and that's why I found probable cause. Not that someone else had the gun and he's just standing there. He's like standing while black. You know,
He
he's like,
specifically talked to the person that had the gun. Identify who
if you
that
can
person
show
was.
me something that he's doing something wrong, then okay. But I was under the impression that he did that and then he takes off, hence the evading. If he's, take your time, there's no rush, right? But if he's doing something wrong, and then they're going to investigate him for doing something wrong, and he takes off, that's a different question. But if he's doing nothing wrong and just standing there, no.
And this guy that they talked to admits.
I get it. Let me see what they.
A clear example of how one lie can lead to a web of confusion and complications. As we watch the judge try to navigate this case, it's a reminder that honesty is always the best policy, even when it's tough. Stay tuned to see how the judge handles the rest of this courtroom drama. Opening scene.
You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Sure. On September 30th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a weapons disturbance call in Harris County, Texas. The caller advised that he observed a group of juveniles with a handgun after walking into a Texaco gas station. The caller asked the defendant if he had a gun, to which the defendant stated yes, and that he had it for protection. The officer observed the group walking away from the gas station and activated his lights and sirens. The defendant began to evade upon seeing the officer. The officer had prior interactions with the defendant and knew him by sight and name. The officer later was able to locate the defendant at his residence.
So you said that he goes into a gas at Texaco.
No, Your Honor, the complainant was walking into Texaco and observed the defendant with another group of juveniles outside the gas station with a handgun. And then
Okay, so who has the handgun?
the handgun is with the defendant. And the defendant,
He has a handgun?
yes, the defendant said he had that for his protection.
Read it again.
Yes, Your Honor.
I must be confused. Read, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The officer was dispatched to a weapons disturbance call in Harris County, Texas. The caller advised that he observed a group of juveniles with a handgun after the complainant walked into a Texaco gas station.
This is an unknown caller
Yes, it is the
saying,
caller.
hey, I saw a gun here.
I saw a gun with a group of juveniles. And the caller asked the defendant if the defendant had a gun, to which the defendant stated yes, that he had it for protection. And then the officer observed the group of juveniles walking away from the gas station and activated his lights and sirens. And the
That's
defendant,
when they all
that's when they,
scamper.
yes, Your Honor.
You were on bond for 3 felony cases. I have to imagine that one of the conditions that you're on bond for is no weapons. And now you've picked up another case.
So,
Stop, don't sing. Mr. Joyal, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. What time of day or night was this?
Your Honor, let me check the offense report. Your Honor, it appears to be at, I apologize, I don't know military time, but 13:26 hours.
It's 1 in the afternoon.
1 in the afternoon, Your Honor.
So he's got the 3 felony cases upstairs. They're all no weapons as well. You need to understand that by picking up this case, it's very possible that they revoke your felony bonds and raise them. And if that happens, 3 felony warrants are going to issue for you. So you need to get with your lawyer extremely quick. No, don't. But I am ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to be in possession of weapons. And I'm also ordering you not to use or consume any alcohol or dope. And I'm going to drug test you today because I want to know what, if anything, is in your system. You're to come right back and then we'll talk about your lawyer situation. Do you understand?
yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
I was appointed on this case today.
Okay.
Judge, I wanted to see if we could hear probable cause on this. I have an issue with him being arrested for this. I wanted to see if we could hear that.
What's your problem?
Judge, if I may, so this OR reads, a group of individuals have a gun. It's impossible. A group of individuals can't have a gun. Somebody, one person has a gun. Now, furthermore,
So that alerts the officer of a problem, and then he comes to do a further investigation. I get that in and of itself is nothing, but then they go to do a further investigation, right?
If I can make another argument, Judge, the person states that he talked to the person that has the gun, specifically talked to the one person that has the gun, and he stated, I have the gun for what?
and a judge who's clearly losing patience with a defendant who can't stop changing their story. Let's dive right in and see how this one plays out. Cut to courtroom. Judge. So, you're telling me you were locked out and couldn't get back in, but you also took $400. Money you say you didn't want to accept? What's going on here? Defendant. Yes, I was locked out. The locks were changed, I couldn't get in, and I was
You told me it's him.
The initial caller stated he asked the defendant if he had a gun, and then that's when the defendant stated yes, and he had it for protection. In the DMs, it says the defendant.
It's not, there's two defendants. There's two people arrested. One that actually had the gun. My client doesn't have the gun. He was arrested for evading. There was no gun on him. The other gentleman was arrested for possession, I believe. A Mr. Kenneth. If you look at the OR, it's in there. There's somebody else was arrested. He wasn't found with the gun. It's not my client.
Well, it says that the defendant was identified by the caller from prior booking photographs. And the caller was the one who said that the defendant had the gun.
Yes, Your Honor. It was the caller that identified the defendant and the one that spoke to the defendant who had the firearm. And they were shown booking photos, and they identified the defendant, Mr. Joyelle.
Judge, I asked that they look at the OR and see who actually got arrested for possessing the gun.
Judge, I think it was the co-defendant that had the gun. He's the one that was charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. This defendant,
The other co-defendant has the gun.
I believe so, but that doesn't justify this defendant running away after they've established probable cause to detain. That's the state's argument in our position for probable cause.
What was he doing wrong?
Somebody had a gun. That gives them.
Get it. So that's why that person got arrested. But
That didn't just happen in that order. It's not, they stopped, they detained people.
I was under the impression that he had the gun, and that's why I found probable cause. Not that someone else had the gun and he's just standing there. He's like standing while black. You know, he's like,
Specifically talked to the person that had the gun. Identify
if
who
you
that
can
person
show
was.
me something that he's doing something wrong, then okay. But I was under the impression that he did that and then he takes off, hence the evading. If he's, take your time, there's no rush, right? But if he's doing something wrong,
Yes, Judge.
and then they're going to investigate him for doing something wrong and he takes off, that's a different question. But if he's doing nothing wrong and just standing there, no.
And this guy that they talked to
Hold on.
admits.
I get it. Let me see if they have anything else. If not, then I'm going to cut them loose.
Sounds good, Judge. Have a seat, please.
Okay.
Judge, so I'm going off of the OR. There's a couple of descriptions that are in here. First, there's two people that seem to be involved. One is the store clerk, and then one is the person that says he sees somebody dumping a gun. Now, we don't know what description is what, but under the point where it says prohibited weapon suspect, the suspect was described as a black male wearing a black shirt and two-tone colored jeans. It doesn't say who's making this description, whether it's the convenience store person or this second witness.
So, and Ricardo, I can clarify that. Judge, we called the officer beforehand. They indicated that they did not know when they came up who was there, like who exactly had the gun. We listened to the 911 call. The 911 caller just indicates there's a group of juveniles. There's three black males, two Hispanic, one white, and one of them indicated to me that he had a gun, one of the black males. But at that time, they didn't have a description, a decisive description to indicate it was one of those males.
Like in this case, if he was Hispanic,
Yes.
there'd be no probable cause. If he was white, there'd be no probable cause,
Yes.
right? Because we know that when the officer goes to investigate, it could not have been that person. But when he's going to do his investigation, he's knows one of the black males has a gun, but he doesn't know who. So he has to do the investigation. But for him being able to do it, they all take off.
And I was scared. Judge. So, why take the $400? What was that for if you weren't giving up the apartment? Defendant. I didn't know what else to do. I had nowhere to go. No food, no way to get my medications. I was desperate. Judge, You're saying you took the money because you had no choice, but you're also telling me you didn't agree to give up the apartment. What's the real story here? Defendant.
Supplement this case if they want to. They could refile it.
I really want to know what the officer, all I want to know is what the officer knew about who had the gun when he went up there. Did he know anything about which defendant had it?
It's not in the OR, Judge.
Here's the problem.
Understood.
Okay. If you find something different later on, then reapproach and show me, and then I'm happy to redo probable cause. If you can show me that there's something different, I'm always happy to entertain it and do it again. But
The only thing I can show you is what's in the OR where it says the description of the black male wearing a black shirt and two-tone colored jeans.
And to be clear, Judge, we will be contacting the officer again today and having them file a supplement to correct.
you're telling me that when the officer rolled up to all those people out there, he knew the person that had the gun was wearing a black shirt and two-tone colored jeans? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know what the officer knew, Judge.
Because if that's the case, if he knows, if he's going up to the group of kids and knows that the gun holder was wearing that, and he's not wearing that, then we know it's no probable cause.
All I'm stating is what's in the OR. I don't have the answers that you're asking for. He's getting the answers based on a phone call that I don't have access to. I don't have.
Yeah, well, I'm not considering that. I don't care about
Okay,
that.
so then
I don't care what he's telling me. All I care about at this point is what the officer knew when he goes up to do his initial investigation.
Okay, and Judge, just to be absolutely clear, page 7 indicates specifically who told the officer that description, and it's the second witness, not the first witness that they had information about when they rolled up. The second witness that identified him dumping the gun.
Who is the second witness?
It's just somebody that identified him as there's a juvenile male just dumping a gun.
Is this just a random person that's in
I believe so, Judge.
in the Texaco?
It's just a third-party witness.
So the first witness is the gas station attendant.
Yes,
The
sir.
second witness is just a citizen, somehow sees the gun and alerts authorities, hey man, I see someone with a gun.
It's alarming.
And he didn't give a description.
They did. This person did give a description. They said black male with a black shirt and two-tone jeans. But
So
that
he
was-
does say that to the officer?
No, Judge. That was after the people had already run. The only thing the officers knew was what they had in the first 911 call, was that a black male identified, said that he did it, but there was 3 of them, and 2 Hispanics and a white male, and they all ran. So they had PC to at least stop the
What
3
did the
white-
911 caller say as far as who had it?
They just said, Morgan, can you clarify?
Can we
exactly
play
what
it?
they said?
The 911 caller didn't give an exact description. He said, and I will say, it kind of appears as though English may not be his first language. When he's speaking to the person on 911, he says that there was a group of juveniles that came into the store. One of them had a gun. He asked if he was licensed. The individual said no, and he asked them to leave. And then he called the police, and he said it's a group of 4 men.
This is the actual
This is the actual 911.
attendant. No, but the gas station attendant.
Yes.
The person working there.
Yes.
And he doesn't give a description at that time.
He doesn't. The 911 operator does not ask,
That's
what
my
is the person wearing?
I mean, what?
But he said that they walked outside and that they're in the parking lot, like the same people that were just in.
So then the officer goes to do the investigation, they all bolt.
I don't think they all bolted.
Oh, they didn't? Who bolts?
My guy bolts.
And then
All
the
of them.
person with,
They all bolt?
Yes. They all,
all of them do. Did they all get charged with the,
I don't know if they caught anybody else. I'm telling you, Judge, and the reason
They
why I
didn't
brought up
catch
his
him.
criminal history is because I'm telling you, he's known in the community.
right?
He's
How they
known.
got to him?
Yeah.
If they all
They know.
bolted, why didn't the guy with the gun get charged with debating as well? If they
Because
all bolted.
they got the felony charge, that's why. They could have been it would have been a dick move and charge him with the one, again, they could have, but he's lucky they didn't. You know, that's like you get a DWI and then they give you a speeding ticket on top of it, right?